for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about how there is no escape from capitalism. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, aka Stormageddon.
How depressing is that?
It's very depressing, especially considering it mirrors our reality. I don't love it. I need you to be less real. No escape.
But that's not why people come to us. People come to us because we are real, Matt.
Really? Wait,
yes.
We're real?
Yeah,
We're just not, we're not just part of the simulation?
Unfortunately, we are real.
We are real people.
Real people with real news.
Yes. Before we get into, it's honestly very rude of BioWare to drop news on the day we release a new episode. It makes us look out of date, and I don't like it.
I know. What we need is a mole.
Yeah, right? Someone on the inside. Yeah, that's called having a press contact, and then we would be able to make announcements. But and then we would have been able to announce it that day because that's when the embargo was up. I only know this because I am friends with journalists and can surmise after the fact. Anyway, The Veilguard has a release date. It is coming out on Halloween of this year, October 31st, and I am very excited. With every new trailer, I just get more excited, although I thought it was very funny because I like that they featured a different Rook in every piece of media that they've released. The lead character, although this one is getting a lot of fire for being surgically crafted to entice the gays. As a friend of the show, Ken Shepard, in a group chat said, "Oh man, new Rook can get it."
I didn't see the new Rook. I've only seen the one from the long video that they posted.
Right, the gameplay, yeah. So this one had like the classic like hero look, like chiseled face, like scruff. Yeah, the chin, the scruff, slick back hair. Yeah.
Okay.
But I am happy that they feature a different Rook with every trailer. I'm hoping as we get more news and other trailers, they'll feature some femme Rooks, maybe, so it's not just all dudes. But still, the diversity of it is encouraging. So yeah, so we have a release date. So it will be out on the 31st of October. Frankie and I have plans to do some kind of just like broad discussion about the game once we've finished it, maybe towards the end of the year. We're still sorting that out, but we will cover the game as normal within the order. So we won't cover it in depth on the show until probably 3 years from now or something like that.
It'll be very topical by then.
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a new Mass Effect by then. We can only dream.
Yes.
I mean, I did make jokes when we started the Dragon Age playthrough that, but maybe we'll have the new one by the time we're done. And here we are, and we're not even done.
Hey.
So anyway, that's our Veilguard update. The Veilguard update. God, I hate this name. And we'll keep you updated.
That's the Veilguard update.
Oh, God. But we will, of course, continue to give you more news as it comes out. But if you want to be timely, we are not your source for that. Clearly.
Unfortunately.
No.
If you would like comedy...
Yeah.
We're still not your source for that.
We try, but, Anyway, why don't we talk about what we're here to discuss today?
All right. Now that we've issued our mandatory BioWare update, it's time to get into the summary of why we're actually here. Now that we have a complete party and a mission to earn 50 big ones so Bartrand will let us tag along on his expedition, our first cash grab is to help out Hubert, a salesman based in Hightown. He owns a mine ominously named The Bone Pit, where something mysterious has disrupted production. Miners aren't reporting in, and no one will check it out because of the mine's spooky history. In walks Hawk, who ain't afraid of no bone pit. Probably because Hawk makes every bone pit a bone pit, if you know what I mean. Can we solve the mystery in the mine?
Boo. Sorry, I'm still reeling from that very bad joke.
It was good.
I'm sure miners are going missing, and it's a perfectly normal reason. Nothing abnormal is happening in this mine.
To make sure that we do not enter a Galaxy Quest-esque mix-up. We're talking about grown adults who work in mines, not miners like children.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yes. this mission was something. I forgot actually about it until we played it, but then once I started, I went, oh, I remember how this goes.
Yep.
And there are some funny lines. Before we get started, I brought a different party this time.
Ooh.
I brought with me Fenris, Isabella, and Meryl.
Okay.
It was a fun, quirky group. Meryl and Fenris bickered a lot. I'm sure nobody's surprised.
Gee, I wonder why. Almost
elves,
like
mages.
one of them is foundationally opposed to the other one.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Isabella is like, I'd like to fuck everyone in this room.
Pretty much, yeah.
Except for maybe Meryl, because she's like a baby to me.
Who did you bring with you?
I brought Isabella, Varric, and Anders because I like a rogue squad.
A rogue squadron, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
It's a Star Wars reference.
Oh. Did you feel good making a Star Wars reference?
I mean, at least one person in the audience will appreciate it. And that's if Case is listening.
Yeah, so I brought that squad, and found out that Anders and Isabella were at a kink party together.
Okay. Unsurprising, truthfully, now that I hear it out loud.
Because Anders is like, you look really familiar. And Isabella was like, you're from Ferelden, right? Did you ever hang out at the Pearl? And he's like, yes!
Which is a reference to the bar that we meet her in the first game, right? Yeah.
Yes. And Anders says to her, like, you were a big fan of that girl with the griffin tattoos, right? Who was named the Lay Warden. And Anders says, yeah, you were there that night when, and Isabella cuts him off and goes, oh shit, you were the runaway mage who did that electricity thing. That was nice.
Good lord.
And Varric, surprisingly, is like, I know too much now.
Shocking.
I would like this conversation to end.
Yeah. For his
surprises me.
Because he comes off as very flirtatious and he writes romance novels, so you'd think he'd be into it.
Yeah. And he's just like, nope.
I'm good. I want out. So anyway, we talked to Hubert, who owns this mine. Very foppish, very rich person I want to punch. Making comments about Fereldans. When he makes the comment about Fereldans, did you say, I'm Ferelden, by the way?
Yes, I did. I was
and
like,
he went, I meant my workers, not you. I was only being...
Clearly not you. Obviously. You're one of the good ones.
Right. It's totally not racist when it's not about you and it's just
Eat
about the rest of your people.
Dick, Hubert.
Oh, he's the worst.
That being said, he does say, you look unseasoned, but I'll give you a shot. And my response was like, give it an act or two.
Yeah, you'll understand.
Like, I'll be seasoned plenty.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
So anyway, do you agree to help? I assume so.
Yes. Obviously, we say that he's racist, but he hired Ferelden refugees because nobody else is giving Ferelden refugees a shot. But that means that they can be paid cheaply because they can't get work anywhere else.
Correct.
And Hubert also insists that the bone pit is mostly harmless.
Yeah, we say you can have a snarky response of like, didn't you think it would be a problem going to mine in a place called the Bone Pit?
Yeah,
he's like,
I said that too. I was
or no, maybe it was
perhaps.
a bad idea naming your mine the Bone Pit. And he's like, that's an old name. It was already named that before I started mining in it. It's just an old wives' tale from spooky stories.
Man.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Oh, man.
In a world with, what kills me is in a world with mages and dragons and the undead darkspawn, you don't think twice about a mine named the Bone Pit? Come on.
Yeah, like, come on. This place is probably super haunted. There's probably skeletons that come to life and try to stab you.
Which wouldn't be that uncommon in this world.
No, it happens every other day.
Pretty much, at least to us.
So when we ask how much we're going to be paid, we find out that our pay is basically commensurate with trauma.
Yeah, basically.
Like, let's see how traumatized you are when you come back, and then I'll decide what I'll pay you. Did you have the random encounter?
With a dwarf who wants to make a deal? I sure did.
Javaris Tintop.
Yep, who is excited to get his hands on a exploding powder that only the Qunari have.
Can I just say, the music for this random encounter is super creepy for no reason.
No, none. Like, it's not a horror moment at all.
But it's so creepy. Why is it so creepy?
I don't know. I have no idea.
like it's chanting in another language, and I'm like, I'm just fighting some spiders, guys.
Maybe it's foreboding? I don't know.
I don't know. It was a lot, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then I realized it was Javaris. I was like, oh, this fucking guy.
So Tavares wants us to help him get his hands on explosive powder that only the Kunari have. He went to the Arashok, but the Arashok would not do a deal. The Arashok sent him to go try and talk to a band of refugees who disbanded, who left the Kunari main tribe. The Tal Vashoth. And of course, the Tal Vashoth also don't want to do any business with a dwarf. And so Tintop asks if we will go take out those outlaws, because then the Arashok might be happy that they're gone and doesn't have to worry about them anymore, and then he can get what he wants. And I was very leery to agree to this, but I did then eventually agree, because probably taking out the outlaws is a good idea. I'm not so sure about the rest of this. And he's like, I don't care. And then he's like, I don't care what you do, as long as the outlaws are gone and I can get what I want.
You're such a paladin. I said, this plan is weak sauce.
I mean, you're also correct.
And he was just like, whatever. If you happen to kill them, I'll be very happy. Goodbye.
Don't judge me. Is
So
how he feels.
Like, okay.
All right. Sure.
So that's how I dealt with that.
Yeah.
Okay, now to the bone pit. When we arrive, there are looters already picking over the place.
Yep.
And it's a quick fight. Nothing really happens. No cutscenes. No, like, are you the reason why? Like, I feel like there could have been an opportunity for a scene here.
Yeah.
To be like, are you, like,
is this
did you
problem?
cause this?
Yeah.
And then maybe we could have gotten more context about the bone pit.
Right.
Instead, did you read the codex entry about the bone pit?
I did not.
Oh my god, Matt.
What?
This entry, I feel like I need to pull up the actual codex entry. It's so horrifying.
Is it?
It is. So, it's 2 letters.
Uh-huh.
Dating back to when the bone pit was not called the bone pit, when it was called, like, some mine, a quarry, some kind of quarry. And the first person writing the letter is basically saying, hey, we need to rethink our practices over at this mine. Because let me just tell you the conversation I had with the slave. She told me that she was part of a group of slaves lined up at the edge of a cliff. And then each slave in the line pushed the one in front of them over the cliff. The only reason the one I spoke to survived is because there was no one there to push her over the cliff. So she watched 16 people get shoved over the cliff, and she had to have shoved one of them.
Oh my god.
And then she got to watch as dragons consumed the bodies and left behind nothing but bones, aka the bone pit.
Yeesh.
So the guy writing this letter is like, this is this is sketchy. We should maybe not be doing this.
Right.
The response was, actually, production has been up by 1/3, so keep this shit to yourself.
Wow. I mean, I'm not that surprised, but still.
Horrifying. Really upsetting. Now we know why it's called the bone pit. I would not be surprised if some ancient ghost rose up and, like, cast a curse on Hubert specifically.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case here.
No, it's not, but I would not be surprised were it to happen. I personally feel, this is a thing that I feel in real life, is that when enough horrible things happen in a place, that energy stays behind.
Sure. That makes sense.
I think if one horrible thing happens, you know, maybe it leaves behind some energy, but if it's a lot of horrible things, I think you feel that. And maybe it could just be your brain playing tricks on you, because if you walk in knowing horrible things happen there, you trick yourself into believing it. I don't know. I think that trauma leaves behind an energy signature that you can feel.
Right.
And I think that this is one of those places.
Yeah.
So maybe nobody should fuck around with it. Maybe you just abandon it. Maybe you never go back.
Yeah, I feel like decisions that we're going to talk about later would have gone differently had I had this information, which I did not. But anyway, onward into the mine, where apparently there are dragons, and a lot of them.
Like immediately.
Immediately.
Like you walk in, it's like dragon, dragonling, dragon, dragonling, and you're like, oh, I guess this is what happened.
Yeah. And so you fight them, and as we fight our way through, we come face to face to one of the surviving workers who is completely freaked out and is just trying to survive.
Understandably.
Yes. And we ask if there are any other survivors. He said there are folks who ran ahead. He's hoping they escaped, which we'll find out later. Some of them did. But then he says, and I love this, he's like, don't go that way. There's a huge dragon, and then takes off. And after a beat, as we step further into the cavern, Meryl goes, are we going to go in? I've never seen a huge dragon.
That's adorable. What happened for me, I did ask him some questions before I just let him run away. I was like, can you at least tell me, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And he tells you that they were mining a new tunnel and a wall collapsed and all the
Yes.
dragons came flooding through. And after he runs away, I have Anders, who then says, I wondered if they left the nest unprotected. Well, clearly not, buddy.
Yeah.
So, also, complaint about fucking maps in this game. Whenever I find, like, a little pocket of area and
Yeah.
there's nothing there, I get very angry.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the first or the last time we'll talk about how the dungeon design is not great. I don't know if they're randomly generated. I think they are, like, within a certain set of maps that were just created for the game, and they can populate. Either way, I know that the maps were pre-generated. They are very samey, and if you're going into a mine, it'll be the same design for each mine with a different layout. And so I know that's the case. And so, yeah, those pockets, like, that drives me crazy in any RPG. If you put a off the beaten path, there better be something there. If I'm wandering 5
least
feet
a
extra, like a chest, some money.
Give me something, please.
Yeah.
Like, I took my time to be like, ooh, what's over here on this corner? Nothing? Great.
It's just like when I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and there was a waterfall and with a big grotto and you could walk in the area, and I went to the waterfall and hit a wall and there was nothing behind it. I'm like, come on.
Why include a waterfall?
For RPG 101, if you're going to let me go to the area with the waterfall, there better be something behind it.
Better be something behind it.
That's why Sea of Stars is amazing, because there are several waterfalls that has stuff behind it. Anyway, getting off track. So now we fight a giant dragon.
How was it?
It was fine. Isabella died, but everyone else lived.
Ooh.
Because
No
I
one
didn't.
died for me.
I mean, I didn't have a healer.
That's true.
Because I'm not healing. I could, but I'm not.
Because you're selfish.
I mean, that's what I have Anders for, but I let him take the night off.
You let him hang out with his cat.
Yeah, I've realized if I want to bring Meryl with me, which I want to do more this playthrough, I'm going to have to leave one of the rogues behind, which is fine. Or I can build Meryl to be a more tanky mage, which she already has I mean, actually, I could probably build myself to be a more tanky mage because I already have the stone armor. I'm curious if this game has like a battle mage kind of multi-class like the first game did for you. It must there must be something.
I feel like yes.
I feel like maybe in the Earth Tree there's like defensive stuff. I mean, there are melee spells. The spell you start with, the like thing that stuns people, the arcane spell, that is a close range spell. So I'll look into that because I only have a couple of spells so far, and it's 2 single target and an AoE. So it might make sense to try and build myself as a tank, because then I can be a tanky mage and I don't need to bring any of these loser tanks who hate everything that I do. I like Fenris as a character, but he is such a killjoy, and same for Aveline, and Carver just sucks. I hate Carver, but like Fenris, I like as a character.
Invite Dorian on the show one day so Dorian can give you the treatise on why we shouldn't hate Carver so much.
Yes, it's true. I've read the article. I still don't like Carver. I get it. It's like when you read a good article about Ashley Williams. It's
Yes.
still possible to dislike Ashley Williams quite a bit. But this isn't an Ashley Williams podcast, although it could be.
No, it couldn't be.
But yeah, I mean, I playing a mage, bringing Fenris with you is literally aggravating at almost every corner, because he just snarks back at you about everything. It's like, dude, give me a break.
Oh, Boise.
Anyway.
I think I'm going to bring Fenris for our next mission, which we will talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
Dragon fight, boring, whatever.
Yeah, fine.
Kill the dragon. Oh god, did I collect any loot from the dragon?
I
hope I did.
think I did too. I just don't remember if it was anything worthwhile.
I don't remember now.
Maybe a ring, maybe some money. I don't remember.
I have to go back and check the dragon's body.
Like, the loot in this game is fine, but also because we have the DLC, you get a ton of really great loot from the DLC for your character. So, like, Anyway, after we kill the dragon, we go back to Hubert, who continues to be capitalist pig. He wants to keep the mine open and offers you to go 50-50 in on the mine because of what a good job you did. And you're like, I don't know. And then he gives you, like, there are two kinds of responses. You can say, yes, give me more money because you're greedy and want more money. Or you can say, like, he pitches that you could be an advocate for the workers. And I went, yeah, okay. I'll go 50-50 on with the mine with you because I want the workers to have some protections. And I feel better being here as a Ferelden also to look after them.
Yeah, I said, if you want me to do things, you need to pay me.
I mean, fair enough.
Just logically, like, if you want my help, you need to pay me money.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, okay. So he pays me money, and then he says, can you please get people to go back to work?
Yep. Which I go do, and we find them joyfully, drunkenly in Lowtown, kind of being terrible people. I mean, just... They're not terrible. They're just making inappropriate jokes. The eggplant joke, I was like, my favorite thing.
Joke.
My
the
favorite
eggplant joke was a little funny.
It was, but my favorite thing about the eggplant joke is that Hawk then goes, ugh. Like, you just see Hawk's face drop, and I'm like, thank you, Hawk, for having good taste.
Also, I'm playing a feminine Hawk, so there's a slight variation, unless they still say this to you, where... was his name Jansen says, like, oh, this is the person that saved me, keep your eyes on their face, you lush.
No, they don't say that to me.
Yeah
So
there's like an implication of like you're being checked out, but then he's like, nah, don't sexualize this person.
They saved us. Other women fine, but not this one woman. Anyway, after drunken conversation, you can convince him to go back to the mine. And for me, it was like, oh, well, we almost got killed. And he's like, and you can tell them, well, I've gone in on the mine 50-50. I'm going to make sure that you guys have protections. And they rally since you're a fellow Ferelden. They're like, all right, well, if you're watching our back, then we'll go back to work.
Yeah, I do that same thing. Also, it would be... irresponsible of me to not mention that by saying, if you want my help, you have to pay me, I took the budget for safety equipment. Whoops.
Oh, boy.
If he had told me it was for safety equipment, I would have been like, no, that's okay.
Yeah, but he didn't, and you gave in to capitalism.
Look, I have to earn money.
I mean, we have to live. It's true.
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
That is true. That is true.
Anyway. So we go back to Hubert. Great. Everything's perfect and good. How much money did you end with?
I have 35 gold, 22 silver, and 18 copper.
Holy shit. I am at 29 gold and 83 silver. I did not log the copper.
Okay. I mean, I also haven't really bought anything. I've been selling stuff
every time I get a chance.
See, I have 12 as the caster who's in the way back and not really needing to be healed. I never use potions, and the lyrium potions I don't really need because I'm not burning through my, like, I've never had I've not had a moment yet where I'm casting spells and can't cast it due to mana. It's usually due to cooldowns. So
I always buy a health potion because I know I'm gonna want them.
Yeah, I
know I'm gonna be in a big fight.
Right.
With a big boy.
If I convert myself to a melee mage, then it'll be different. But for now, I haven't needed to. So I haven't really bought anything at all. I've just been selling stuff. So that's why I have as much gold as I do.
I have to do some inventory management. And I think if I successfully do that, then I will have a little bit more money to play with.
Yep.
But hey, we have another mission coming up that should hopefully earn us some money.
Yes. But before that, you have to take us back to the corner.
That's true. Sorry, just the way that you said that.
I didn't know how else to phrase it, so you're welcome, I guess.
I'm your biggest fan. I'll buy your merch until I'm broke, babe. Fandom Corner. Welcome back to Fandom Corner, my favorite segment of our show, where I get to tell you about some really cool artists who are making shit that you want to buy. Today we're going to be talking about the Goblin Emporium. I love a goblin. I identify as one myself. The Goblin Emporium is run by Avery Chambers, a fiber artist based in Northern Ireland. Here's a quote from Avery's About Me, which I found very beautiful. There's something ineffable about the beauty of the trees rustling their leaves in a harmony of whispers, or how the sea can be so ruthless and still be graceful. I'll always strive to capture moments of this whimsy of the world, and that is what my art is. Snapshots of the simple joy that is finding a pretty rock on the beach, or the wonder at how the sky holds so many stars, yet there are so many more we've yet to see. Now, this isn't our usual type of fandom corner where you can find work inspired by your favorite fandoms, but this is more for if you're a huge nerd about fiber art, like I am. Avery Chambers makes beautiful felted and embroidered works of art inspired by the landscape of Northern Ireland. You can find prints of these works on their website. Especially check out Lavender Skies Beach in particular. It's so beautiful, and the colors are just, they flow together in this fantastic way. I can't describe it. I love it so much. If felted art isn't for you, then also look at their jewelry, which also reflects the natural world using antlers, stones, pearls, and so much more. So if you want some funky art inspired by the world around you, check out the Goblin Emporium.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. Not particularly for me, not really my style, but I have a lot of goblins in my life, so you know.
You do. It's true.
It could stand to be a good gift for a future goblin. Or current goblin, I don't know.
For the goblin in your life.
Exactly.
Alrighty.
All right. So yes, the next episode we are doing the mission, The Magistrate's Orders. We are continuing our quest to make enough money to fund the expedition that we have yet to even be invited to go on.
It'll be great. It'll be fine.
It'll all be great.
But before we sign off, I would like to share yet another email from our pal Callie. I want to answer a specific thing that they wrote in their email about the chantry.
Okay.
Because I think this is an important thing. Fuck the chantry. I love the Fuck the Chantry unofficial tagline. This is going to be a fun series. Although have evidently finally found something, I have even more spite about that than the two of you. Fuck the Chantry and all its propaganda and all its clergy and every Templar and every pro-Chantry mage traitor and all of its complicit worshippers. And fuck its stupid old jar of stupid old dust. Respectfully, simply cannot follow your reasoning for preserving the ashes. A physical symbol of every injustice inflicted upon the mages outside of the Qun for hundreds of years, and the fact that it has importance to those who subjugate us is a reason not to destroy it. We are supposed to preserve a symbol of hate and oppression out of consideration for the feelings of those who hate and oppress us. Liberation and resistance will always make oppressors uncomfortable and hurt their feelings, and it should. Sure, no material conditions are improved by destroying a symbol, but it is a symbolic act of resistance that I find euphoric. Glory to Andragonaste. In retrospect, the DA series was probably one of the earliest factors in turning me against religion and purging that gaslighting from my brain. When I first played, I didn't even know that I was a mage. Wait, no, queer yet. But the systemic mage indoctrination, imprisonment, and enslavement resonated, obviously. So a couple of responses to that particular paragraph of Callie's email. I really appreciate that Callie also draws the parallel between mages and queer folk.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the clearest parallel.
Yeah.
Like, you can make an argument for mages representing any other marginalized community.
Yeah.
And it would still work. But for me, the one that works the best is the queer community. And I completely and totally understand Callie's perspective about the Ashes of Andraste. I get it. Like, I absolutely do.
Yeah.
I just personally, I know that not every religious person feels the same way, right? There are some religious people who reject the cruelty that is forced on marginalized groups by the system. And if those people find faith and belief in a physical symbol, I am more inclined to let it be. Because honestly, the existence of this physical symbol like just that thing doesn't actively harm me. Like, it's not the symbol's fault.
Right.
You know, like every practicing religious person isn't a monolith. Like, they don't all necessarily believe the same thing. A lot of them do, and that's completely valid. But also, I don't have Callie's same experience.
Well, right.
So,
I think my thing here is I'm actually envious of Callie's clear vision, right? Like, to unequivocally know who you are and that you just denounce the religious side, all of that. Like, you speak from a place of confidence that I appreciate, that I don't have. For one, I'm Jewish, and I give and take with Jewish tradition. I believe more in the tradition than the religion, but I still go to temple. I know plenty of rabbis. Like you said, religion is not a monolith. It's not a one thing. Just in the same way that I know plenty of church-going Christians who also are queer and part of the queer community. I know a queer preacher. Like, it's not one-to-one, like you say. And so for me, it's a gray area. And again, because I engage in that gray area, I'm not so quick to smash this. If there was no gray for me, if I just felt it was all bad, which some people do, and rightfully so, then that's a different thing. And I'm so glad that you sent this, Callie, but I can see why you feel differently. But I think the decisions that Frankie and I made are based in our own personal experience, which is the whole design of this podcast and your response. And I'm grateful for it. Because we do hit a stride where we don't always get to have guests on, or because one of us is in another country, so it's hard to schedule. Not that I'm blaming anyone. We don't have as many...
Matt, why are you in another country?
Oh my God. We don't have as many diverse perspectives on Dragon Age as we've had on the Mass Effect series, and we're hoping to change that, but it's truly just been hard to schedule, which is why it's mostly been me and Frankie. Honestly, having Andrew on was just because he's up early all the time, and so it's really easy to schedule. I told him the time we were recording, he went, yeah, no problem. Okay. And so that said, I'm really grateful for your perspective, and totally hear where you're coming from, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And, I was raised as a bad Catholic. Like, not I was raised as Catholic and I am bad at it. I was intentionally raised to be a bad Catholic. My dad always taught me that faith is within you and not within the physical. Like, believe in the faith, not the man.
Right.
Like, a building is nice to go to, but God isn't in that building. God is wherever you are and where your faith is. It's one thing about religion that I really appreciated that my dad gave me was this kind of disconnect to the organized aspect of it, which his fault for why I am the way I am.
Yes, correct.
Like, he gave me all the tools to be why I am.
Correct.
And then was like, wait, why did that happen?
Yeah. Why are you doing this? I'm mad about it.
Wait, no, not like that.
I was giving you these tools to protect yourself, not use against me.
Anyway, but yes, Callie, I deeply relate to everything that you said, and I really appreciate your perspective, and thank you so much for sending us all of your emails. Please do not feel like you are sending us too much, because you're not. We love reading them, and we really hope that you're enjoying our show.
Yeah, it'll be impossible for us to cover everything on the show, as you know, but we are grateful and read, of course, every email we get. We try and cover what we can, and if there are other points that we find kind of that are salient to discuss, or just stuff that's easy to bring up on the show, not necessarily that it's not important enough, but that it's just easy to work into an episode, we will continue to discuss. But please keep writing. These emails make my day every time we get them, so please continue to do so.
Yeah.
I realize, in a great bit of irony, though, Callie probably won't hear this for a very long time.
It's okay. When they do, they'll be like, guys. It's fine. They're actually on their, Dragon Age grind. And actually, at the end of their email, they mentioned that Andromeda went on sale. So actually, it may be a minute.
Yeah, which is fine. The Andromeda season's fun. They won't get to participate in the bidding on who I will have a relationship with, but beyond that...
This is true, but Callie.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to send Callie an email.
Okay.
We're going to talk.
All right. Anyway, yeah, so let's outro the show and go home. I mean, we're home, but you know what I mean.
Home is where you are, Matt.
Yeah, I know. Home is where your pain in the ass best friend is.
If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Blue Sky, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram, facebook.com/reignitepod, or you can send us an email like Callie does at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at Frankie B. Writes and DJ_Stormageddon. And on Blue Sky, we're Frankie B. Writes and DJ Stormageddon with no underscore. How are we doing on that campaign, by the way? Are we getting underscores yet?
No, I haven't checked. I just assume we don't. So, yeah. Anyway, please rate and review and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher of choice. It really helps folks find the podcast. And so when they search on Apple Podcasts for The Bone Pit, they don't just get a bunch of pornography podcasts, or podcasts about sexual experiences. They just get our show.
Actually, it pulls up a picture of my house.
Right, exactly. If you Google The Bone Pit, it's just Frankie's house.
It's weird. I'm trying to get them to fix that.
Yeah. But it really does help the show. A rating and a review goes a long way, and it's the easiest and most free, moneyless way to support us. So please do.
We're members of the Certain Point of View Network. Visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website. Join the conversation.
Yep, pretty lively over there, talking about the upcoming The Veilguard. The Veilguard. God, I hate that title so much. It's just going to kill me forever. But we're talking about Veilguard quite a bit. Folks are playing through this either Dragon Age or Mass Effect and updating us on our journeys, like Chortle Power we've mentioned in the past. And so if you want to be a part of a BioWare-centric conversation or a broad conversation about comics, video games, TV, movies, all that stuff, the Discord is a great place to go, and you can find that on the website or in the show notes down below. As for personal plugs, I don't really have anything new. This episode will air just as PAX West is starting. So if you're hearing this and you're in the Seattle area already, Jeff and I will be at PAX West. We're covering the event for Fun and Games, as we tend to do, and so I will be out and about. If you see me, please say hello.
You'll be oot in a boot.
Oot in a boot.
Again, I have nothing new. Actually, I have something a little new. If you're interested in anarchy studies, I am going to be co-presenting something for the Anarchy Studies Network with my pal Sam Poots. We are going to be talking about using the fantasy genre as a primer to help you understand anarchy as resistance and answering some, like, how can we use fantasy to answer our own questions about anarchy? So, should be pretty accessible and entry level. Like, you shouldn't have to feel like you need to know a lot about anarchy in order to engage with us. But check out the Anarchy Studies Network and the conference that they're having at the beginning of September. I believe they are having a free virtual day. So, check it out.
Cool. We also would like to thank, well, not also, let's start our thank yous. It's
time to say thank you.
Let's be thankful. Well, now I can't edit that out. Damn it.
Matt, I'm thankful for you.
Oh, yeah. It depends on the day for you.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'd like to thank the one and only Case Aiken for developing a bunch of cool t-shirts that you can find at certainpov.com or on Teespring. Also, thank you to Case for designing each episode's show art. We really appreciate it.
We'd like to thank Miracles Sound for our new theme music. You do an amazing job.
And of course, last but not least, thank you to the one and only Red Spinks for our Dragon Age inspired logo. To see more of his work, you can go to Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
Red actually wasn't last because lastly, we want to thank you, the listener. Thanks for listening. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And remember, all Templars are bastards. Even that one you like.
Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, 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 Hawk.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage since you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode we take a look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material. So whether you know the comics and want to know how all these games work, or you know the games and want to find out where all this craziness came from, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.